Luke, let's talk about another MVNO.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll go today.
Okay.
So, before we talk about the specific one, let's talk a little bit about MVNOs and why we might suggest them or recommend them for people. So, one of the things with MVNOs is that they don't really advertise quite as much. They don't have the brand awareness that a lot of the big carriers do.
Sure.
Everybody sees commercials for Verizon, and AT&T is everywhere, T-Mobile.
Right.
But if you're standing in line at a grocery store, sometimes you look over and you see other brands represented. Sometimes you'll see them in Target, Walmart.
Yeah.
People have questions about those.
I think they're maybe prepaid or a less than option sometimes, or,
what's the point of this?
Yeah.
Why would I consider this? So that's what an MVNO, that's the point of this series. So that is an acronym for Mobile Virtual Network Operator. And they are basically companies who lease the towers, the infrastructure to support their service. But they operate independently, use their own billing, their own customer service.
Right.
Some of them have a retail experience, some of them do not. Each of them has kind of some benefits and drawbacks.
Right.
So what we do here is a series where we kind of educate people on the specifics
of the different ones. Because there are a lot. There are upwards of at least 15 to 20 at a given time.
Yeah.
And that can be overwhelming, especially if you're looking for an alternative from the big three. Where do you start?
Or for people who have no idea that they have an option from the big three and don't know, like, wait, you mean I can still get all of these things without having to go through this company and pay for these features?
The trade-off happens because, like you mentioned, a lot of those companies either only have an online presence or only offer a limited amount of devices, so they're able to keep that cost of the service down. And since they don't have to maintain and upkeep their own towers, they're able to pass that savings on to you. So you're not really losing any quality of service.
Right.
But you're gaining the benefits of that lower overhead and essentially getting the same thing.
And sometimes with the tier one or the high-end carriers, you get a lot of things included in your plan that you may not necessarily want or need.
Sure.
They're just kind of built into that cost.
Yep.
So something such as a year of Paramount Plus or Netflix or Apple Music, those types of things are great when they're included, but there are people who say, I don't care about that, I don't use them, I don't need them, I'm happy paying for it separately.
Or long distance calling to Canada and Mexico. Some people don't care about that.
Yeah. International rates.
The ability to have worldwide service through other, those are great if you are traveling, but if you're not, then why should you have to pay for it?
Exactly. So today we'll talk about Ting.
Yeah.
As a carrier, as a mobile virtual network operator. And I'll answer some of your questions. These are 7 questions we've done for some other carriers of common things. This isn't an exhaustive look that says this is everything you need to know. These are things that you should know about them. The idea here is to kind of push you either towards or maybe away from the carrier so that you have a better understanding of them. Maybe for yourself or somebody that you know that says, I'm tired of paying this, bill every month, or my daughter and her family are trying to do something cheaper. Here's something they might want to consider.
Right.
So let's talk about Ting.
Okay. So the first question, since an MVNO doesn't have its own towers, what tower or what network does Ting use?
So Ting uses both T-Mobile and Verizon towers.
Okay.
Which, for most people, if you have an understanding of those, pretty much means nationwide coverage.
Yes.
You've got pretty much anywhere you go. One of the drawbacks with the coverage is, data.
Yeah.
In times of congestion or peak times, areas of congestion, I should say, sometimes the carrier will kind of slow things down to allow for the regular T-Mobile or Verizon customers to kind of have that fast lane.
Yeah, they almost have a preferred connection.
Yeah.
So,
but for a lot of people,
that rarely happens.
And 4G speed, 5G speed is very fast.
We've used it for years, and now that you have faster, it seems really slow, but it's still not slow.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question then is, do they offer a retail experience?
So that is one thing that you'll find that you actually won't find.
Sure.
There is no retail experience.
Okay.
And kind of the trade-off, and when we talk about the rate plans and you look at it and say, wow, that's really affordable, this is one of those trade-offs.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go to the Ting store and talk to somebody and say, hey, I'm having trouble with this. I have some questions about my rate plan or my bill, or, so there is that trade-off.
Yeah.
MVNOs generally, I think, are more geared for people who are a little more hands-off.
Sure.
In terms of, I don't need to have somebody walk me through everything. I don't have a bunch of questions. And people are more and more, the consumers are more and more educated as a whole.
Yeah.
So for that, MVNOs can tend to get away with not having that brick and mortar experience. So in this case, no, it's an online only experience.
Okay.
Which does give you customer support. That doesn't mean you're just left hanging out there. You can go on there. There is a whole list of frequently asked questions. You can find subreddits and forums and things to kind of help you out as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so can I use my existing phone if I switch over?
You can. And that is something that when we get to another part of this discussion, I would actually recommend.
Yeah.
If you have a T-Mobile or Verizon phone, or are considering picking up a new phone, buy something that's unlocked, yes, it will be compatible. You can even go to their website and put in the serial number or the IMEI to find out if it's compatible to use that with their service.
Okay, so I have my phone. I'm thinking of switching over. What are the rate plans like?
So they're pretty affordable.
Yeah.
When, I've got a little graph here, chart. They have plans to start as low as $10 a month, and that will give you unlimited talk and text. And it'll give you, it's a flex plan, so basically you're paying $5 per gigabyte of data.
Okay.
And you can use that either for the phone itself for data, or if you want to use it as a hotspot.
Okay.
For instance, it's called the Set 5 plan. It's 5 gigabytes of fast data, unlimited talk, unlimited text, 5 gigabytes that can be used for the phone or to share with a tablet or a laptop or any other device. You're looking at $25 per month.
Nice.
So really affordable. And then when you get into people, they're like, well, I need 10, 15, 20 gigabytes of data. I don't know truly what I'm using.
Yeah.
They have an unlimited plan. It's called the Unlimited Pro. That's $55 a month. Mm-hmm. And that's just for one line, which when you compare that to other carriers, finding a one-line plan at that price, it's pretty tough. A lot of times they want to push you into a 2, 3, or 4-year or a 4-line plan to get these rates. For $55 a month, you get 35 gigabytes of data, the unlimited talk, text, and up to 18 gigabytes of that can be used for hotspot.
Right. Now, it's interesting because they have a distinction of fast data versus regular data. So that 55, you have unlimited data.
Correct.
So, but the 35 gigs is their fast data, and then if you use that 35, you're then back to a slower data, but like still unlimited.
Yeah, like a 2G kind of connection.
Right.
So you do have unlimited access to data.
Right.
But it's just how much of it is fast.
Yeah.
For $45 a month, you can go with a 22 gigabyte plan, and you get about 12 of that for hotspot.
Okay.
So pretty inexpensive.
Yeah. So then that brings us to, specials. Are there any specials?
Sometimes. And you'll find this is the case with a lot of MVNOs. You go there and you'll find deals that are sometimes paired with certain phones, or they might have like an instant rebate or discount saying, this is around tax time, or this is around back to school, or this just in, so it's an introductory price. So sometimes you'll find those, but it's usually just on the phones. They don't do really anything, at least as of today, that are related to the rate plans themselves.
Okay. And then, the big thing in my phone now, or that people are talking about, is 5G. Does Ting have 5G?
They do. It's nationwide, and that is part of the fast data.
Got it.
So you've got 4G, LTE speeds or 5G speeds nationwide, and that'll basically be based off of your phone, whether it's the T-Mobile SIM card or the Verizon SIM.
Sure.
But if you have experience with those carriers or are currently subscribed to one of those, chances are you're going to find very similar coverage, connectivity, and if you spend a lot of your time on Wi-Fi,
not a big deal.
You're not, So, but to answer your question, you do have nationwide 5G.
Okay, cool. And then if I want to just get a phone and not worry about bringing my old phone or anything, they have phones I can purchase?
They do, but they don't have very many.
Okay.
They have some Apple phones.
Uh-huh.
They have a handful of Samsung and Motorola, but that's about it.
Okay.
And the selection on those tends to skew a little bit towards a generation or two behind.
Gotcha. So if you want something new that's like the flagship or, the latest and greatest, you might be looking at another unlocked phone.
Yeah, purchase it outright or purchase it, finance it through, Best Buy or, if you get a Pixel, go through the Google store. You can get phones through them and put them on payment plans through a firm. But you're going to find that if you're into the hardware and you're kind of like, I'm looking for something very current, which kind of flies in the face of who an MVNO customer might be.
Sure.
So for some of those people, it's more of I just need a phone. I just, I'll take a Samsung Galaxy, whatever.
Yeah.
They have those.
Yeah.
So you do have somewhat of a selection, but if you're, new to Ting, you might want to check on getting your phone direct through somewhere else.
Okay.
So that's Ting.
Yeah, that wraps it up pretty good.
As a introduction to Ting.
Yeah.
So if you have any other questions, you can go to Ting's website. There's a lot of help available. They have pretty decent social media that you can get in there and interact with as well to answer any questions that you have. But this should be enough to kind of tell you yes or no. I'm, trying to switch things up for 2022 and, maybe shore up the books a little bit and save a couple bucks where I can. MVNOs are a good way to do that.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the podcast.
Thanks for listening.
We appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, feedback, concerns, comments, anything, shoot us an email at podcast@AndroidGuys.com. We'd love to hear from you one way or the other. Luke, if someone wants to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
I am on Instagram and Twitter at Luke Gaul, Gaul.
And I'm on Instagram at Scott Webster and Twitter as SWebster77. Until next time, thanks for listening.
See ya.